right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the GSL. This is the Code A tournament. This is the round of 48, what we call round 1. And I am Moltrep. With me here is Caldor. And we have had some awesome games thus far. And don't worry, you will not have to deal with any more of my Brood War fanboyism because we have some Warcraft 3 players. This is more Caldor's area of expertise that are going to be playing in the next couple matches.
We are going to jump into SaSe against JYP fairly soon, and the last match today will be Naniwa against Lucky. That's actually the game I'm the most excited about because of the history of the two. They already met before, and this was right after Naniwa came to Korea, and Lucky basically destroyed him. So he won with a 2-0 against the former Warcraft 3 player. Naniwa played Undead in Warcraft 3. SaSe is going to be the next player though, and I'm really looking forward to him playing as well. Not only because both of them are currently kind of staying at the GOM house as well, and we have a quick look at the replay of 4GG against, OGS Finn against Sage. Yeah, I think I'll let you take over with the Brood War fanboyism.
No, this was the point in the game where Finn was in a little bit of trouble, actually. I remember this is where he'd put on a lot of pressure with the DTs, and he was trying to get his third up, but Sage was attacking this third base of Finn's, and I think this is still where Finn was having trouble. Maybe not. Maybe this was afterwards. No, yeah, this is where... Look at this Storm. Oh, I actually didn't even realize that. He saved them in the medevac. That's actually really cool. I didn't even notice that in the actual game. Wow, that was really Gosu. He like trapped them in force fields and stormed it, and Finn was like, nope, I'm going to pick him up, get him out of the way. But this was a lot of pressure, and Finn was down to just a few units at some point here. The only reason he survived this and kept his third was because of the massive amount of production he had. He had like 10 barracks in his main.
And you're completely right. As beautiful as that move with the force fields and the storm was, that save was really great. Finn reacting in the blink of an eye, saving those units in the medevac and bringing them out of harm's way. But you all mentioned it, the Protoss player putting a lot of pressure onto the third base of Finn in that situation. And here we go with another attack. He had so many Zealots. And nice APM as well.
Yeah, he had a lot of Zealots, but he didn't have the sentry count. He lost some of the sentries. He couldn't like force field to keep the Marauders in place there. Of course, he used a force field, but it was a very wide open area. So that was actually good because it meant that Finn had plenty of places to kite back. Kiting meaning that you kind of attack something that's with your range and then fall back from it so it can't get close to you. So he was able to kite those Zealots a lot because he had a nice open area to deal with. And
we mentioned it yesterday. Marauders being the new Dryads.
From what? Oh, the new Dryads. Okay. I thought you said something else.
I'm a Brood War player. I have no idea what you're talking about.
No. I played a little bit of Warcraft 3, just a little bit. But I just misheard you. I thought you said something completely different. So.
Like what?
Something.
I don't really want to know. Okay.
No, you don't want to know.
That's fine.
Anyway, so that is how that went down. And, of course, following up what we just saw in the replay is when the production, the massive production of Finn kicked in, and all those units just started piling up in that counterattack.
And talking about production, Sage didn't have as many gateways as he needed to in order to get rid of all of these resources.
Yeah.
He had 1,000 minerals banked up, a lot of gas as well, but he just didn't have the gateways in order to warp in additional units.
Yeah,
so.
He had I think about 8 warp gates, which is still a lot, but yeah, it's not enough to support the 3 bases that he had going in full. So wasn't able to spend his money, and it was funny because Finn attacked right when he was trying to get Colossus tech. So he would have been able to spend that money if the game had gone on a little bit longer. He would have been building Colossus, but he wasn't able to because, well, he went and killed the robotics support bay as soon as it was completed. So Finn taking that out 2-0, but again, the next match is going to be none other than JYP. There he is. He's going to be playing against the Swedish player, SaSe.
SaSe just joined the lobby and he's like GGGL, so Sweden will be watching. Not only SaSe but also Naniwa will compete today, the day of the foreigners basically.
Yep, Jinro's in the house. He's here to support his fellow Swedes. He's watching the games in the back in the VIP room, along with Tastos, as we were here earlier actually to watch the games. And Doa's back there. Todd, whole bunch of people here to support the foreigners.
Exactly.
And you know what? SaSe's got his work cut out for him because JYP is a very, very strong player. He is 14-7 in Protoss versus Protoss, so he's a very strong PvPer.
We have him with a loss against us, though. That's the last competitive match that he played in PvP. It was in the GSL October Up and Downs, and in the same process he was able to win against Hangun. So the last 2 matches of him, 1 loss, 1 win. There is SaSe looking sexy as always. He brought his magic luck hat.
That's right.
With him today.
Can't wear his hat with those headphones, or I'm sure he would be wearing that hat right now. I want to give a little bit of a interesting note about SaSe. He came back from the Philippines. He went to the Philippines tournament and didn't do very well in the Philippines for whatever reason, because he did extremely well at MLG. He did so well at MLG, and that's why he actually has this seed, was from MLG into Code A. But he went to the Philippines, didn't do that well, but he came back from the Philippines with a really bad cold. Yes. So he has not been able to practice very much for the last week, unfortunately.
SaSe spent like 2 or 3 days in bed the entire time, and FXO Slog was the one who actually went to the pharmacy and got him some medicine so that he would get better. I think he has not really fully recovered. He's a lot better now, though, and he was playing on ladder the last few days. He's one of those players that actually focus on the ladder practice instead of the custom games.
Yeah.
And SaSe, well, he was a little bit anxious about the game, but here we go. Daybreak will be our first map today. Belcher Beach will follow that up, and if we need a third one, that will be dual side. SaSe now. Well, SaSe is one of these players, when he's playing, he doesn't want any distractions at all. We already also have that situation in the GOM house the whole time, and in those booths he will feel quite comfortable, I guess.
Yes, indeed. They, the booths rather are pretty soundproof, and they actually play some static inside the booth as well to make sure you can't hear anything outside as well, because they don't want the players to hear the casters either. But we're gonna get started with game number 1. JYP the Korean versus SaSe the Swede here at the GSL. And down here at the bottom left-hand corner of the map is going to be our red Protoss, representing Korea in this match, but also representing himself in his attempt to get back up into the up and down matches.
This is JYP.
JYP has done pretty well in a couple seasons of Code A, but hasn't quite managed to get up into Code S yet.
His opponent, starting at the top right of Daybreak in blue, is none other than the Swedish player
Quantic Gaming SaSe.
Exactly.
Quantic Gaming, who just started a partnership with the team Incredible Miracle, by the way.
Yeah, and talking about SaSe is really going at it when he's playing. We live with him in the GOM house right now, and I have to admit, when SaSe is playing, it's really hard to get some sleep. He's sometimes lettering throughout the night, and this guy is just insane. This guy is basically killing his mouse and keyboard every time he starts a ladder game. You can hear him click throughout the entire, basically the entire apartment. It sounds ridiculous, I know, but when SaSe starts to ladder, everybody in the apartment knows, okay, well, SaSe just woke up and is going at it again.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. He actually puts more energy into his play, as in physical energy of moving around and putting effort into hitting the keys and stuff, than anyone I've ever seen play. So kind of interesting. The probe of SaSe is going to get in and scout JYP. Both players pretty much doing pretty standard stuff, though, so nothing too much to see in this case. They're going to try and keep their probes alive as long as possible, though, because they want to find out what happens after that core completes, because that is the crucial point when they see, okay, are they getting a second gas? Are they getting a Twilight Council? Are they getting a robotics facility? What kind of tech are they doing so I can counter it?
SaSe, being a Swedish player, he talks obviously a lot with Naniva about the games, but he's one of those players who doesn't focus all too much on custom games when he prepares for a match. but he plays 1,000 ladder matches a day. It's really, really weird to see him just laddering the whole time. And he gets into this mindset when nothing else is allowed to distract him. He's sitting there with his earphones and he's just playing and playing, and he doesn't like it if he's disturbed. He needs a certain temperature in the room. He's having a lot of arguments with Todd about the temperature and the air conditioning, but both of them get along quite well and of course talk to each other also a little bit about the games, though Todd most of the time has a little bit different approach into those matchups. SaSe himself, he's just a gamer that is really concentrated about what he's doing, and well, I'm rooting a little bit for the foreigners.
Yes, indeed. And so yeah, SaSe going ahead and starting off with just both these players just doing basically the same thing right now. We do have a little bit of variation. We have another gateway going down, and there's the Twilight Council for SaSe. A little bit of variation now, and now I am hoping and thinking that we are going to see Blink out of SaSe, because if I have stood behind this guy and watched him blink micro, and he actually has insanely good blink micro with his stalkers. It is really fun to watch because he is so strong at microing those. JYP instead going for the Sentry and going for a normal gateway play.
Talking about micro, that's one thing. Here we go, by the way.
Oh no! JYP's probe gets in and sees the Twilight Council researching. He now knows exactly what SaSe is doing.
And the probe is going to get punished for that. It will die. Pay that information with the price of his life. Here we go. But talking about the Blink micro, that's actually one of the advantages that a lot of Warcraft players agree they have over the Brood War players, or about most Brood War players, not all of them. In Warcraft, you had to focus a lot more on your micro, and every time that when Naniwa, for example, is watching a game of Todd or the other way around, they are like, show us some of that Warcraft 3 micro, son, and, and go for it. So that's something that I really look forward to seeing as well, if SaSe is able to pull off that micro. He's trying to get pylons onto the map, but his opponent JYP is aware of what's going to happen, so SaSe has to cancel one of them. And let's have a look at the Stalker count. 4 Stalkers for JYP, 3 for SaSe. We have SaSe on 26 probes against 29. Slight economical advantage for JYP.
Yes, indeed. Just ever so slight, because those... Oh, and SaSe is going to catch the Stalkers of JYP off guard. Is he going to get a kill? He does get a kill. Blink is almost complete for SaSe as well. Blink just starting for JYP. Interestingly, JYP going for the robotics facility as soon as he scouted the Twilight Council, and now both of them are kind of switching up. JYP getting his Blink while SaSe gets his Robo up. Both players anticipating what the other's going to do in response to what they're doing, and another pylon is canceled. SaSe just cannot get any luck with these forward pylons. He's going to have a hard time putting on pressure without the ability to warp in units close to the front line.
JYP is ahead in supply right now. He's on 49, 50 actually against 40 supply, 6 against 5 Storks in the favor of JYP. And SaSe, as Moltrop already mentioned, with a little bit of trouble. JYP now getting Blink himself, while SaSe is just trying to get rid of those destructible rocks so that he has a broader ramp where he can attack.
Oh, is he going to pick off the... Oh, he does get JYP's Observer, and it never got anywhere near SaSe's base, so JYP continuing to play in the dark at this point, doesn't know what SaSe is following up with.
Still a slight lead in Stalkers for JYP. Here we go, the Korean Protoss player is moving out.
Oh no!
Nice Blink by SaSe, and here we go. Blink is not done for JYP just yet, now finishing, and SaSe has to retreat. He is 50 against 55 supply.
What are the Stalkers doing?
Needs to be careful. Losing another Stalker. SaSe under pressure now. JYP getting an expansion.
Yeah, this is getting very close. The Stalker counts are very even, 10 to 9. SaSe has one additional Stalker, but there's a Zealot and a Sentry in JYP's army. A Guardian Shield could make the difference. No, he picks off one of the Stalkers and gets out. Nicely done.
And actually SaSe could have engaged in that encounter. He could have tried to blink down and kill his opponent's units. He was ahead with 2 Stalkers, and now he has a decent lead actually in terms of the Stalker count, 14 to 10. But he's behind in Harvesters, and that expansion of JYP is of course a real danger to SaSe if the Korean player is able to defend against the Swedish one for another couple of minutes.
Yeah, exactly. The probe count is 36 to 26. Now, on one base, that extra 10 probes doesn't matter very much because you can't actually mine extra minerals very efficiently with more probes over a certain number. But once he gets that second base up, and there he's transferring probes down to it now. Oh, he's going to get that observer? Not quite. But now that he's transferring probes to that second base, that econ advantage is really going to kick in for JYP. He's added on a fourth gateway as well. He's going to be able to put out a lot of units to catch up with SaSe.
And SaSe needs to attack. His opponent already has one Immortal. Is getting a second one. One Immortal is not all that much. You can't focus that down. As soon as they're 2 of 3, it gets interesting. And there's SaSe, 73 against 83 supply. Now using that Blink Micro, retreating. And this is going to be horrible for SaSe. He really needs to put some pressure on his opponent. He needs to kill something now, deal some damage, because JYP is on 2 base while SaSe is playing on only 1.
Yeah, and SaSe is also starting to fall behind in the Stalker count. They're about even now. Hold that thought.
Here we go.
The Immortal's doing so much damage in this battle, he's forced to blink away. And JYP with those 2 Immortals is just, you know, he has less Stalkers still by about 5, but the 2 Immortals are worth their weight in Stalkers, that is for sure.
Those 2 players are even in army supply. 57 against 57, 22 Stalkers for SaSe against 17. He's trying to put some pressure on his opponent, but now with 3 Immortals in the mix and a 4th on his way, this is a horrible situation for SaSe. He really needs to deal some pressure to his opponent, but there are 2 Zealots actually running into the main base of SaSe. JYP making use of his pylon in the back.
No. And they're going to get a couple probes, at least force him to run. He's actually fighting the Zealots with probes, attacking in the front as well, but SaSe, he's blinking for all he is worth. It's all going to come down to this one battle. The Immortal's doing so much damage. He's trying to pick them off, but I don't think it's going to work. All of SaSe's Stalkers are in below health, and the forward blink by JYP to finish things off. SaSe forced to fight, outnumbered, outgunned. He is going to lose his army, and the Zealots have done so much damage to his economy. SaSe is going to lose this game very, very soon. GG. JYP has taken game number 1.
It's a bad day to be a foreigner in Korea.
Yeah, apparently it is. Select falling in the first series, and now SaSe is down a game against JYP here in this second series. By the way, guys, don't forget to go ahead and go on and vote for the next match on gomtv.net. Make sure you vote in the polls to see who you think's going to win. This match was actually pretty even, but it was in favor of SaSe. So most people think SaSe was going to win, if I remember that correctly. And also don't forget that Wolf is streaming the other matches on the other stream right now as well. You can go to the preferences and turn on Allow Multiple GOM Players, and you can watch both streams at once if you'd like. So make sure you check that out. Second map is going to be Belshire Beach.
Yep. And I really think that SaSe missed a little bit the opportunity to attack his opponent. He was ahead when at some point he was ahead with 14 to 10 Stalkers, and that was before JYP had the first Immortal in the game, so if he would have attacked at that point of time, it would probably have been a lot better for him. Another thing is, we talked about the encounter at the natural expansion of SaSe, when JYP threw down that force field in order to prevent his opponent from just chasing down his army, and SaSe could have blinked, and I think he would have been able to take down at least 1 or 2 additional Stalkers, because at that point JYP was outnumbered. But the longer SaSe waited, the more the economic advantage of his opponent kicked in, and then with all those Immortal in the mix, you mentioned it during the game.
Yeah, also JYP didn't have a pylon right nearby there at the time, and SaSe obviously was near his base. He had a pylon there, so if he'd engaged in a battle, then JYP would have either had to stay there and fight it out, and the reinforcements of SaSe would have won in the battle, or he would have had to run, and SaSe with the blink would have been able to chase down his Stalkers and kill more, and that would have given him an advantage. I also want to point out that in that game, SaSe could not get a forward pylon up. JYP was tracking them all down and killing his probe, so he couldn't go for the early attack right when he had blink, right when he wanted to, and so that was really well done by JYP as well. But second map, Belshire Beach is about to start. Can SaSe bring it back and tie the series? Oh, will JYP bring it home? I can't talk today. We're going to find out here in just a moment at the GSL.